Morgan Housel demonstrates the power of understanding what remains constant amid a changing world and same as ever. When we identify elements that remain unchanged, we can more easily navigate life's uncertainties. Drawing from personal, historical, and contemporary examples, Housel offers a masterclass in optimizing risk, achieving success, and leading a fulfilling life. The constants. History is filled with timeless wisdom and human behavior that remains constant despite changes in the world. Understanding these constants helps us predict future behaviors and make better decisions. Behaviors such as greed, fear, risk-taking, jealousy, tribal affiliations, overconfidence, and short-sightedness are universal across time and cultures. Understanding these behaviors can help us understand our own lives better and predict future trends. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' philosophy is an example of focusing on constants for success. Bezos believes that customers will always want low prices and fast shipping, a constant that Amazon can confidently invest in. However, life can also be unpredictable due to chance or accident. Morgan Housel narrowly escaped an avalanche after declining to go skiing with friends who unfortunately did not survive. This incident led him to realize how life-altering decisions can sometimes be made thoughtlessly or randomly. Historical events also have been shaped by seemingly insignificant factors or accidents, such as a change in wind direction affecting the outcome of the Revolutionary War. The Battle of Long Island was a disaster for George Washington's army. The British could have easily sailed up the East River, trapping Washington's forces and leading to their destruction. However, the wind wasn't favorable for sailing up the river. While predicting specific events is challenging due to their complex interconnections and potential for random occurrences or accidents, understanding timeless human behaviors provides valuable insights for navigating life. Unforeseen risks. People are generally not good at predicting surprises in the future. While we can predict many things well, unexpected events are often the most significant. The main risk lies in things that catch us off guard because, without preparation, their impact can be severe. For instance, Victor Prather was a NASA astronaut who drowned after a successful high-altitude balloon flight due to an unforeseen mishap. When he returned to Earth, he landed in the ocean as planned, where a helicopter was to pull him to safety. However, while connecting himself to the helicopter's rescue line, he slipped and fell into the ocean. Even with meticulous planning, unexpected risks can invite catastrophe. Historical occurrences like the Great Depression, which were largely unpredicted despite seeming inevitable in hindsight, serve as examples of this. Our understanding of past and current events is limited, leading us to underestimate potential risks. Just as children are blissfully ignorant of complex concepts like geopolitics or economics, adults are often blind to global happenings. There are two strategies for dealing with unpredictable risks. The first is investing in preparedness rather than prediction, just as California does for earthquakes. The second is acknowledging that if we're only preparing for foreseeable risks, we'll always be unprepared for those we can't envision. Therefore, personal finance strategies should err on the side of caution. What we don't see coming is always the biggest risk. The happiness equation. Happiness is more dependent on managing expectations than improving circumstances. Societal progress often leads to increased expectations, which can undermine individual happiness. The 1950s was a unique era when economic growth directly translated into perceived well-being due to relatively uniform living standards, unlike today's stratified growth. While median family income has significantly risen since then, many people still yearn for the past. Today, social media amplifies envy and dissatisfaction by showcasing curated lifestyles, further inflating expectations. While striving for progress is important, recognizing the significance of managing expectations is equally crucial for happiness. Wealth and contentment are determined not just by what we possess, but also by what we expect or need. Everyone plays the expectation game subconsciously, so being aware of its rules can help us manage it better. Unique qualities and flaws. Many successful individuals, such as John Boyd and Elon Musk, have unique traits. These individuals think differently from ordinary people, and their unique minds contribute to their success. However, unique traits can have negative aspects as well. We need to accept successful people as a whole package, acknowledging both their admirable qualities and flaws. Boyd was a brilliant but difficult fighter pilot. His innovative thinking revolutionized his field, but his personality made him hard to work with. Similarly, Isaac Newton had an obsession with alchemy and sorcery along with his scientific genius. Musk's visionary mindset also makes him less concerned about social norms. Those who achieve incredible things often take risks that can backfire powerfully. The same traits that push people to the top can also push them over the edge. Our desire for certainty in an uncertain world influences our judgment of success or failure. People tend to focus on black and white results rather than considering probabilities or alternative outcomes. It is also easy for us to underestimate rare events in a world as large as ours due to our inability to comprehend very large or very small numbers. Incredible things and terrible ones are not necessarily due to extraordinary circumstances or abilities, but simply because they are statistically likely given enough attempts. The power of storytelling. The ability to capture attention and evoke emotion through a compelling narrative can lead to greater success than presenting cold, hard facts. This is evident in Martin Luther King Jr.'s iconic "I Have a Dream" speech, which deviated from its original script but resonated deeply due to its emotive storytelling. Similarly, Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens* became the most successful anthropology book of all time, not because it presented new information, but because it told captivating stories. This concept extends beyond speeches and books. Ken Burns's Civil War documentary gained popularity by weaving existing information into an engaging narrative. Comedians are also master storytellers who can sell out arenas by turning dry academic insights into entertaining stories. Good stories leverage ideas and simplify complex concepts, making them more accessible and memorable. They guide people's attention towards a single point and evoke universal emotions that resonate with diverse audiences. Many great ideas or products may remain unnoticed due to poor storytelling. Hence, there is immense potential for those who can present existing knowledge or inventions in an appealing manner. As such, the best story often wins in various fields where information is exchanged, from politics to business to education. Irrationality, beyond data. There is some irrationality in human behavior and decision-making. Despite our attempts to quantify and rationalize actions, there are often elements that defy logic. As Secretary of Defense during the Vietnam War, Robert McNamara's failure in Vietnam stemmed from his reliance on statistics over understanding the feelings of the Vietnamese people. Certain aspects of life are immeasurable but crucial. During World War II, the Battle of the Bulge was one of the deadliest American military battles of all time. The surprise attack by Nazi Germany was unexpected because, in the rational minds of American generals, it seemed illogical for Germany to attack. The Germans lacked sufficient troops, fuel, and food and faced unfavorable terrain and weather. However, they attacked due to Hitler's irrationality. American generals had correctly assessed war planning, but underestimated how unhinged Hitler had become. This irrationality extends to other fields, such as athletics and investing. Physiologist Archibald Hill discovered that athletic performance is not solely based on physical capabilities, but also on what an individual is willing to endure based on risk and reward. Similarly, in investing, market valuations are influenced by stories about the future rather than just numbers. Some of the most important forces in life are nearly impossible to measure or predict. This includes people's personalities, emotions, and mindsets, which can have a significant impact on outcomes but cannot be quantified or predicted accurately. We shouldn't rely too heavily on data and logic alone to make sense of situations. Instead, we must accept uncertainty and understand that what may seem rational to one person can appear crazy to another due to differing perspectives, incentives, or narratives. The power of stories over statistics is a key factor influencing decision-making. The destabilizing cycles of fear and greed. The cycle of greed and fear is a common pattern in human behavior. It starts with assuming good news is permanent, then becoming oblivious to bad news, ignoring it, denying it, panicking at it, accepting it, and then assuming bad news is permanent. This cycle repeats itself indefinitely. Economist Hyman Minsky's financial instability hypothesis explains this cycle. When an economy is stable, people get optimistic and go into debt, which destabilizes the economy. Stability can be destabilizing. For instance, if stocks only ever went up, people would buy as many as they could. causing prices to rise so high that future return prospects would decline close to zero, leading to market instability. Similarly, the decline in deaths from infectious diseases has made us psychologically less equipped to handle them, making events like the COVID-19 pandemic shocking and overwhelming. According to psychoanalyst Carl Jung's theory of enantiodromia, an excess of something gives rise to its opposite. An example of this is California's drought in the mid-2010s, followed by heavy rainfall in 2017, leading to vegetation growth that dried out in 2018, causing wildfires. Optimism and pessimism often overshoot what seems reasonable because we always want to discover our limits by pushing past them. The only way we know we've gone too far is when we experience a decline or failure. We often attempt to speed up a process beyond what it can handle. Robert Wadlow was the tallest man in history. He suffered from many health issues due to his body's inability to support such a large frame. This illustrates that pushing something beyond its natural limits often leads to negative consequences. This principle applies to investing and business growth. For instance, the rapid expansion of Starbucks led to a decline in customer satisfaction and financial performance. Similarly, companies that grow too quickly through mergers often face disappointment when they fail to meet customer expectations. Stress and progress. Stress can drive innovation and productivity. During difficult times such as wars or economic depressions, people are forced to find solutions quickly out of necessity. This urgency often leads to significant technological advancements and societal progress. However, there is a delicate balance between beneficial stress and crippling disaster. While hardship can fuel problem-solving and progress, excessive adversity can hinder innovation by draining resources and shifting focus toward survival. A carefree life devoid of challenges may prevent personal growth and achievement. Struggles provide motivation that positive feelings cannot match. They are crucial for driving progress both on an individual level and on a societal scale. Good news and progress often take time to accumulate and become noticeable, while bad news or setbacks can occur instantly. For example, heart disease mortality rates in the U.S. have declined by 70% since the 1950s thanks to gradual improvements in treatment. This slow progress has saved millions of lives, but it is often overlooked because it doesn't make immediate headlines. Things that are complex to create can be simple to destroy. For instance, the human body takes billions of precise steps to form, but can easily die from a lack of blood or oxygen. Similarly, peace requires almost everyone's good choices, while war can result from one poor choice. Catastrophes usually result from a series of small and easy-to-ignore risks compounding into something huge. The Great Depression and the COVID-19 pandemic are examples. There was poor farm management, real estate speculation, and an inflated stock market in the late 1920s. All of those traits alone, though, don't really matter. The Great Depression did not develop until they coincided and exacerbated one another. Similarly, a novel virus emerged and spread among people through social interaction. For a while, this was a mystery, and then the awful news was buried. Other nations acted slowly because they believed it would be contained. We could only respond with lockdowns because we were ill-prepared. By themselves, none of those things are shocking, but when combined, they caused a catastrophe. The opposite is also true. The most amazing things can happen when something insignificant compounds. Evolution is an example of compounding over time, leading to extraordinary results. Similarly, in investing, sustained returns over long periods yield better outcomes than high returns in short bursts. Little changes can lead to extraordinary ones. Balancing optimism and pessimism. Progress requires both optimism and pessimism to coexist, though they seem like conflicting attitudes. Save like a pessimist, but invest like an optimist, acknowledging setbacks while maintaining faith in eventual improvement. The story of Admiral Jim Stockdale, a Vietnam War POW, illustrates this balance. Despite enduring torture and hardship, Stockdale never lost faith in his eventual release, but also recognized the brutal reality of his situation. The concept of the American dream is an example of optimism during the dark period of the Great Depression. In times of severe hardship and social inequality, people clung to the belief in upward mobility and better future prospects. Bill Gates' approach to business combines relentless confidence in his abilities with a cautious financial strategy that has ensured Microsoft's survival during lean times. Successful long-term endeavors often involve planning like a pessimist while dreaming like an optimist. This balance can be seen in businesses that take risks with new products while maintaining safety net cash reserves, or in workers who prioritize their reputation over lucrative opportunities. Harnessing inefficiency. People often seek efficiency and perfection, aiming to maximize their chances of success. However, there's a downside to perfection that's easily overlooked. Evolution teaches us that perfecting one skill often compromises another that will eventually be critical to survival, leading to vulnerabilities. Instead, nature favors a mix of good enough and below potential traits across species, acknowledging the importance of some inefficiency. In human endeavors, the desire for an efficient life, where no time is wasted, is prevalent. Yet, the skill of wasting time can be valuable, especially for those in jobs that require creativity or critical thinking. For these roles, traditional work schedules may not be efficient as they don't provide enough time for reflection or idea generation. Incorporating periods of inefficiency into work routines enhances productivity and innovation. Shortcuts are another pitfall. The story of the Donner Party is an example of the allure and danger of shortcuts. 87 people, led by the Donner family, left Illinois in 1846 for California, seeking riches and a new beginning. They took a supposed shortcut, which turned out to be longer and more arduous than the traditional route. This path took them through the scorching heat of the Great Salt Lake Desert in the middle of summer and across the Sierra Nevada mountains near Lake Tahoe in the middle of winter. That winter was one of the most brutal on record. They settled in and waited out the winter as best they could. However, starvation set in and people began dying. That's when the survivors resorted to cannibalism. Enduring pain when necessary, rather than assuming there's a shortcut around it, is a useful life skill. Dominance. Success can lead to failure. Sears was once the largest retailer in the world, but eventually fell into decline due to growing income inequality among consumers and competition from younger retailers like Walmart and Target. Competitive advantages tend not to last long because many forces pull you away from them once you have them. According to evolutionary biologist Lee Van Valen's Red Queen hypothesis of evolution, no species ever gets so far ahead that it becomes extinction-proof because competition never stops. This concept applies to businesses, products, careers, countries, and other aspects of modern life. We should never be surprised when something dominant in one era dies off in the next. No competitive advantage is so powerful that it can let you rest on your laurels. Technology. People's response to new technology typically changes from initial ignorance to eventual dependence and calls for regulation. Historically, there has been a widespread belief that previous innovations were amazing and future innovation will be limited because we have already taken all the easy opportunities. However, Thomas Edison was optimistic about future innovation. He understood that big innovations are built up slowly through the combination of several small ones over time. It is impossible to predict which small discovery will lead to significant breakthroughs and change the future. Two seemingly insignificant things can compound into something enormous. Google Maps, TurboTax, and Instagram wouldn't be possible without ARPANET, a 1960s Department of Defense project linking computers to manage Cold War secrets. The ARPANET became the foundation for the internet. It's easy to think that we're lagging behind. It can seem as though we haven't produced any valuable inventions in a decade or two. However, this happens because innovations may not become practical for 10 or 20 years. Progress is made step by step over time, and tiny little innovations have the potential to compound into something great. Perception and reality. Everyone tries to craft an image of who they are, highlighting their skills while hiding their flaws. Everything looks better from the outside, as only a fraction is visible. Most things are more difficult than they appear and not as enjoyable as they seem. Successful people often appear more extraordinary than they really are due to having a crafted image. This can lead others to overvalue their opinions in areas where they have no special talent or expertise. Remember that everyone deals with problems that they don't advertise. Incentives, drivers of actions. Incentives can influence people's actions, even leading them to justify or defend questionable behavior. Akinolabology is a Nigerian online scammer who pretended to be an American fisherman in order to defraud vulnerable people. He justified his actions due to poverty. Rapper Notorious Big turned to selling crack for quick money. Incentives can lead people into professions they wouldn't otherwise consider. A man that Housel knew well turned from a pizza delivery man to a subprime mortgage banker in 2005 because it offered more money. Many bankers involved in the 2008 financial crisis were driven by enormous rewards rather than malicious intent. Incentives can also be cultural or tribal, causing people to support things they might not agree with for fear of being ostracized from their social group. Desperation and fear can drive people's actions and beliefs. Hitler rose to power during Germany's hyperinflation crisis. You will support someone if they help you escape a dire circumstance and begin a better life. This was also the cause of the popularity of drug lord El Chapo among impoverished Mexicans. Personal views and policies are susceptible to change during times of hardship or prosperity. Experiencing something firsthand is often necessary for understanding its full impact on our decisions and beliefs. The long game. Long-term thinking is often more challenging and rewarding than most people anticipate. It requires enduring the ups and downs of the short term, including recessions, market crashes, and unexpected events. The challenge lies not only in maintaining a long-term perspective, but also in convincing others to do so. This is particularly true in the financial industry, where short-term thinking often prevails due to poor communication about investment strategies and handling volatility. The concept of long-term thinking also influences the type of information we consume. Permanent information, such as understanding human behavior during unforeseen risks, has more enduring value than expiring information like specific quarterly profits. While expiring knowledge tends to grab attention due to its immediate relevance, permanent information offers compounding benefits over time by providing insights into why events happen and their likelihood of recurring. Simplicity. The allure of complexity often overshadows simple yet effective solutions. For example, cancer prevention through lifestyle changes can have a greater impact on reducing cancer rates than complex treatments, but is often overlooked due to its lack of intellectual stimulation. Prevention is boring compared to the science and prestige of cancer treatments. Similarly, simplicity is key when learning a new field. Identifying core principles can help make sense of seemingly complex details. Complexity can be appealing because it gives an illusion of control and knowledge, while simplicity may seem ignorant or uninformed. However, focusing on a few key variables can lead to better outcomes than getting lost in unnecessary details. Striving for complexity can backfire when it distracts from focusing on the most likely scenarios or solutions. Traumas and perspective shifts. Traumatic events can have a lasting impact on human behavior and thinking. Today, no evidence of the plane that crashed into the Pentagon in 2001 remains. But the scars of 9/11 are evident in the strict security measures. Similarly, during World War II, more than 30 million people died on the Eastern Front. The Soviet Republic lost nearly 14% of its people by 1945, with 70,000 villages destroyed. While physical damage was mostly cleared by 1960, scars remained. A study of 20,000 people from 13 countries who lived through World War II discovered that they were 6% more likely to suffer from depression. They were less likely to marry and were less content with their lives as older adults than those who avoided the conflict. Experiences like these can permanently alter outlooks on life, risk, reward, and goals. Most disagreements are not actual disputes, but rather conversations between individuals with different experiences. These personal experiences can lead to significant shifts in societal behavior and attitudes. For instance, after World War II and the Great Depression, people craved security more than ever before. This craving influenced their financial habits. They saved more money, took on less debt, and were wary of risks for the rest of their lives. Psychologist Ivan Pavlov would ring a bell before his dogs were fed. The dogs learned to link the ringing of the bell with an impending meal, which caused them to salivate. Years later, however, a flood washed over Leningrad, where Pavlov kept his kennel. The dogs that survived had to swim a quarter-mile to safety. Afterward, it appeared as though the dogs had forgotten their learned behavior of drooling when the bell rang. Similarly, humans who experience severe stress or trauma may have their expectations reset and ingrained behaviors altered. People who haven't experienced the events that you have will struggle to understand your point of view. To close this gap, ask, what have you experienced that I haven't, rather than, why don't you agree with me? Disagreement is often due to differing personal experiences rather than a lack of knowledge or understanding. Disagreement will always exist because our experiences differ from one another.